Hey, it's Andre here. Before we move on, I want to make sure that we understand some of the files and also what we did in the previous video with some conflicts that we had, especially installing Node SAS. What really happened there? First off, when we start a project, we always have a Node modules folder. That comes built in with Create React App. Now, this Node modules folder is quite massive. As you can see, we have a ton of packages. These are all the libraries that Create React App uses underneath the hood. Remember the React scripts? If we go all the way down to package.json, you see that we have all these dependencies, but all of them are using the scripts start.js, like so. Now, Ihua uses Yarn versus what I use, which is NPM. And you see over here that we have different versions. Instead of our Yarn log file, for example, I have the package log file. So what you use is up to you. The key thing to remember is that Node modules contains not only all the libraries that we're going to install throughout the course, but also libraries that Create React App uses underneath the hood, like the Jest package, which allows us to do some testing. Now, the thing is, all these packages seems like a lot. And what Create React App tries to do is to create an IDE-like environment. That is, it allows us to do testing, linting, and all these things. And most of these packages are only used during development. When we actually ship our code and we build our code, most of these packages won't make it through. Only the code that is absolutely needed for the app and not for development are going to be included in this build. So some people complain that this Node modules folder is way too big, but at the end of the day, it's big because Create React App tries to make our environment for developing apps pleasant. Now, the issue that we saw with Node SAS happened because of this package Jest. But let's talk about that a little bit more, because as you develop apps, as you work with React, you're going to encounter these issues of dependency. And dependency management between libraries is a big problem to solve. Now, React, since version 2.0, comes with SAS support, which we saw. All we had to do was install Node SAS using NPM or Yarn, and we're able to use SAS files. So that Create React App takes our SAS files, converts them into CSS into that build folder. But what happened when we installed this? The error that you saw with Ihua is something that you'll encounter as you work with React. So I'm going to show you how to better understand the issue. See, the first thing I would do if I encounter a problem like that is I would Google for it. For example, Node SAS error with Create React App, Babel, Jest conflict, which was what the error we got. And if I go to the second link here, which says React scripts Babel Jest version conflict, which sounds like the conflict that we're having. And right over here, as we expected, it's an open issue with Create React App, where React scripts Babel Jest version is conflict. And as a developer, you want to start getting good at finding these issues and going to GitHub repositories and see if anybody else has had this issue with you. And it looks like this person had pretty much the same issue that we saw. So the beauty is that you can actually read through this and understand why the issue is happening, how you can fix it, and what other people have done. If you actually scroll all the way down, you can see that this issue should be solved when this is released. So we click over here and we see that, yep, the Create React App just merged on May 7th, which isn't that far off from when I'm recording this video, a fix for this so that this issue doesn't happen. So most likely by the time you're watching this video, you won't encounter this. But I want you to start thinking in terms of if you encounter an issue, most likely somebody else has had it. So Google it around, and usually in a project like Create React App, you'll find open issues. You have 303 issues open right now and 85 pull requests. So you want to start getting good at that. Now, another thing I want to talk about is this package log file. If you're using Yarn, it'll be a Yarn log file. This is used because our project most likely won't run on our computer. Most likely, once we're done with the project, we're gonna send it off to a server somewhere so that project runs on a different computer. When a user opens the app on a browser, it runs on their computer. So our code, although when we code along, is in our own environment, on our own laptop, in real life, when people actually use your app, they won't be using it from your computer, right? So package lock files allow us to have consistent installs across machines so that all these dependencies have the exact version number that they need in order for everything to work. It's like everything is intertwined. This file is what we use, or at least what Create React App uses, so it knows exactly what dependencies and what thing works with what. Just like we have Babel Jest that was needed for both Node SaaS as well as for the Create React App, because both of them use it to test their code. Now, in a couple of videos, we'll actually see how Ihua solves this problem another way using something called the resolution property. And this is something that's only specific to Yarn. So if you have NPM, that isn't available for you. But again, that's just something that you most likely won't encounter, but we wanted to show you anyway. Remember, you can always read more about these things at the website's documentation. You want to start getting really, really good at debugging your own code. Finally, the last file I want to talk about is this file that we just removed, which was Service Worker. Now, this comes pre-built with Create React App, and it's mainly used for what we call progressive web apps. And we're going to talk about that later on in the course. Service Worker file allows us to make our app what we call progressive. Again, for now, we don't need to worry about this, but I do want to let you know that we are going to come back to it and talk about what Service Worker is doing, because it has some really neat features. All right, that's it for now. Off to the next video.